Welcome to Inside the Vault, Enterprise Bank's podcast series where we talk about items of interest to the small business community. Today, we're going to delve into the international marketplace and talk about exporting and how small businesses can get involved in selling to customers overseas. With me today is Brent Rondon. Brent's a longtime friend of myself personally in the bank. Brent's a senior management consultant in international trade with the Pitt Small Business Development Center and Institute for Entrepreneurial Excellence. Welcome, Brent.
Thank you, Dave. Appreciate it.
Yeah, so, as we discussed offline, you've been doing this a long time. You've been involved in the international marketplace, helping small business for a long time. So let's kind of start with you personally.
Sure.
And kind of your background and expertise in international trade.
Well, first of all, thank you, Dave and Ryan, for this invite. It was great. I was happy to see you guys at the event you held a while ago. But international has been my passion for many, many years. Even when I was growing up in Latin America, in Peru, overseas, when you grow up in an overseas country, you have more exposure to international trade, export, imports, foreign direct investment, tourism, right? So that was my environment growing up. And the US was always a leading market for companies all over the world to get into. But sometimes it's like a dream of companies overseas trying to do business with the US. It sometimes seems far away, distant, but they wish to do business with us in the US. So growing up like that, I went to school, grad school on international relations, and then I speak different languages. And that helped me out here in Pittsburgh when I started to work helping small businesses.
How long have you been in the Pittsburgh market?
Now it's going to be 30 years.
Wow.
Time flies. Yeah.
Yeah, I've been in lending now for 30 years.
Right,
so
there you go.
Came up around the same time.
Yeah, exactly.
So you're involved presently with the Pitt Small Business Development Center and IEE, which is a good friend of the bank. But you also worked for Duquesne for a period, right?
Correct. I started at Duquesne at a small SBDC, and then I switched to Pitt now, and always doing international trade, international relations, trying to connect our companies with overseas opportunities.
And you're involved in some other trade-related organizations at
Correct.
board levels and different things.
I see this as a package. It's not just export or not just imports.
Yeah.
Let's talk about relationships, and that comes with global visitors, right? So there's a group in town called Global Pittsburgh. There's a group that talks about international politics. That's a World Affairs Council. We have different universities that have their own international studies, and they have centers, specialty centers. So at Pitt, we have Center for Latin American Studies, Center for European Studies, Middle East Studies, African Studies. It's amazing the resources that we have. And that's what I think my approach to international business has been always, let's not just play one-to-one, let's open and look for relationships, connecting points, which is so important for international. And so I've been involved with different, even now I am involved with the Pittsburgh Cultural Trust, or the newest museum in town, which is the Latin American Museum.
Didn't even know we had a Latin
They just
American
opened a museum in Oakland. And I just was there for the new exhibit. It's called Haiti Arts and Culture. But so it's just connecting points. So I think Pittsburgh, we have a lot of connecting points, lots of resources, people. We just need to think a little bit over the one-to-one and take advantage.
Right. So you've been working with small businesses a long time. What is the opportunity for small businesses that want to get involved in exporting or international trade?
Right. So one might be a perception that the business owner has that, international is so difficult. Number two, who is going to want to buy my stuff internationally? But they don't know that overseas they are dying. They're dying to meet you and do business with you. The other one might be the perception of is more difficult than just doing business in the U.S., But what they don't know is the lot of resources that there are in place, even in Pittsburgh or even overseas, right? So we have offices at the state level. We have 13 countries with Pennsylvania authorized representatives. And then at the federal level, we have over 80 countries present, helping us to do business in those countries. But we don't know that.
Right.
So it seems like an insurmountable wall that we have to climb, and they don't want to venture out.
So what is the kind of expanse of the marketplace? I mean, how big is the international marketplace for a Pennsylvania company that wants to start exporting? What's the market opportunity?
Yeah, well, it's by industry, right? But we're talking about trillions of dollars.
Okay.
Trillions, okay? It's huge. It's really, really big. Now, United States used to be the number one exporting country in the world. Now we're number two. But still, we have a very good sizable amount of trade happening. And we partner with the usual blocks. Now the world is becoming a way to do blocks, okay? So it's not
like the European Union.
Right, European Union, and then you have the APEC, the Asians, and here that we used to be NAFTA, now it's USMCA, Canada, Mexico, US. The South Americans are also putting a bloc called the Pacific Alliance now. But the US is always involved. So we should take advantage of that. So we are engaging, okay? So those are opportunities. Big markets, big opportunities, big industries. For example, infrastructure, anything infrastructure, big opportunity. Many developing countries are now in the process of building new things, dams, highways, airports, mining, construction, energy, water treatment. Is amazing.
And the American expertise in doing that stuff is significant.
Yeah, we did that for many years, right? So we do have expertise.
Yeah.
So the opportunities are there. We have expertise. We need to reach out, basically. So I used to lead a project for 4 years, focusing exactly on those 4 industries: water, mining, construction, and energy. And we took many companies, U.S. companies, into those international trade shows to exhibit. The funny thing is that I was going out in Pittsburgh trying to find companies, and they were okay, but they were not really ready to jump and go to these international shows. So I had to go to Las Vegas. At Las Vegas, there's a big show called the World of Concrete. There's another one, Con Expo. And those were big shows. And then I was pitching for U.S. companies.
Right.
I got more U.S. companies outside Pittsburgh coming into these trips than Pittsburgh companies. But we like is to have more Pittsburgh companies engaged in doing business internationally.
Right. Now, you sent me some statistics in advance of today, and some of these just kind of blew my mind. 95% of the world's global consumer base is outside of the U.S.
That means 5% is only the U.S. So we're dealing with 5%.
Hey, we don't even cross bridges, let alone think internationally.
Right there.
And from a dollar's perspective, 84% of spending power is outside the U.S. So these are big market opportunities for companies.
Countries are growing. They are becoming more wealthier, and they have more disposable cash to buy. And they want the quality, innovative products we offer. Mm-hmm. I have many times in shows, we had the U.S. Pavilion, small pavilion. Okay, that's another thing. Shows, international shows, we have the Germany pavilion, Canadian pavilion, USA pavilion. Well, all of the other pavilions might have minimum 30, 50, 100 companies. US, we have 8, 10. Okay, so we need to bump up more interest. Okay.
Right.
However, in those shows, the foreign visitors are lining up to meet with our companies in the US because they know about the quality, innovation. Mm-hmm. Now, I was talking to some Chinese companies there, and they have already investments in those mining countries. They purchase mines. But however, they were coming to our pavilion to inquiry for our mining equipment. I say, but you have also your mining equipment. They say, yeah, but the US is better.
Mm-hmm. Oh, we are known for our quality,
Okay?
made in the USA, right?
So they can, made in USA sells.
Yeah.
So that's another point. Companies should print on the label, on the equipment, on the tool, made in USA. That's
carries the weight
big selling
international.
point.
Yeah.
Yep.
So you had an interesting take too, having worked with so many exporters over the years, that not only is it a marketplace, but it really kind of creates innovation and efficiency within the exporting company, because they learn so much
Right.
from overseas buyers.
Yes. And also international countries have now going to the game of non-technical barriers, which we have technical barriers, which are taxes, duties, stuff like that.
Right.
But the non-technical barriers are more standards, norms, regulations, quality marks like ISO or CE marking for Europe or CCC marking for China. So now we have to comply with those in order to do business, right? So that means our personnel has to now bump up a little bit their knowledge.
Which helps them domestically.
Which we help, it helps us. So exporting companies at the end in the US tend to be more quality, innovative type than the companies who do not do exporting.
And I think some of the stats that you sent me is, their growth and their revenue metrics are much stronger than solely domestic companies.
Correct. Companies, for example, companies whose employees are 250 employees or less and who are exporting, their workers make 1.9 times what the regular workers would do if a company would not export. Also,
that's even very timely because of the labor shortage.
Right, exactly.
Right.
So you have more incentives, right. For workers to learn more about that. And then also, sometimes companies tend to hire more specialized personnel. And once you have the connecting point of U.S. Working ethics and history, and you have the specialized people working in the company, the result is new patents, new trademarks, that we produce. So we become a much better company overall when you are exporting than none.
Right. And can you talk a little bit about the importance of kind of diversification that international trade provides? Because, we tend to think about just our economy as the only economy. And, a lot of our small businesses live and die by the economic conditions in the U.S. You talk a little bit about how they can diversify and mitigate some of that risk by working internationally?
So one thing is, of course, we always want to look for new customers and how to get paid, right? So overseas, international markets will give you that new customer that you are looking for. That's check one. International payment has moved so much now that it's easier to get paid internationally. We have so many tools available to companies, but also we have federal government programs that helps companies to minimize the risk of not getting paid. But also we have the cycles, right? So let's say a U.S. company only sells into the U.S. market, and then a recession comes into this market. Well, you're doomed because you only put your eggs in one basket. But if you have the international side,
there's always a country that's developing.
There's always a country growing. So now you can offset that growth, right? And you can diversify the risk. Then the competitive advantage we talk about, which is, you get new information, new steps, new quality in your company. So it makes you more competitive overseas. You're doing that.
So when we talk about these international markets, Brent, I'm assuming both at the federal level and with our Pennsylvania companies, there's some, I'll call it low-hanging fruit in terms of countries that we have extensive relationships with and maybe somewhat easier than dealing with, a less obscure government or country overseas. I'm talking specifically about the two big ones, Mexico and Canada. What are some of the top export markets for local small businesses?
Right. So there's different strategies.
Okay.
Like one, for example, could be let's look at countries that signed a free trade agreement, starting with Canada, Mexico. Okay, so those are the two neighbors that are easy to do business with. But then we have 18 more countries. There's a total of 20 who sign free trade agreements. Okay, so some are Latin American markets, some are Asian markets, some are Middle East markets. That once a company signs a free trade agreement with the US, that means the whole system of the legal aspects of contracts and methods of payment, respect for the IP, intellectual property, all that comes into place. So those are more safe bet countries than others. Some people say, okay, my stuff that I produce is more geared to underdeveloping economies, not too much for the developed economies. Okay, so let's look at the developing economies.
Okay.
Some people say, oh, I want just the English-speaking countries. Okay, we have also a bunch of those countries who are in that sense. Or by industry, right? I want mining countries. Let's look at the mining countries. And the beauty is that we do have offices in all of these countries through the federal government. Also, we have reports. We have market research reports for every industry. So the people can access those reports and see who is who in the market, who are the competitors, international shows, regulations. I mean, it's amazing the amount of information we have. The key is that companies have to ask for them, that we react, and we can feed them information. The funny thing is that in the United States, we have only from the exporting companies, 56% of the exporting companies only export to one country. 56% of those exporting only to one country. And usually it's Canada or Mexico.
Right.
Okay. So
what are some of the other countries that we do a lot of exporting to?
So South Korea is one. India, Singapore. We have.
I think I read Germany.
Germany. All the European countries.
Okay.
Germany, France. Italy, Netherlands. Strong partners. Those are the get-go for developed type products. Very good markets. We have long relationships, and we have now in Pittsburgh. We have some countries have a chamber of commerce here in Pittsburgh that we can also get in touch with and develop relationships with those countries.
Right.
So we have even Israel. We have a free trade agreement. UAE, Dubai. We have a free trade agreement.
So
Morocco,
right
in Africa.
So you talked a little bit about infrastructure in developing countries and that big need there, but I don't think most local businesses understand the scope of what is purchased internationally, whether it be products or even services, right?
Yeah, services. Even though sometimes when we look at the statistics, we tend to look only goods.
Right.
And in the goods category, we are always in deficit. So we import more than we export. But if we switch to the services industry, the U.S. is a surplus. We export more services than what we import. So that's a good area for companies who are in those industries to maybe take a look and start talking about a mini export plan.
Right.
And then focus on contacting those other counterparts for that.
So that's a great segue. So if I'm a local small business, how do I dip my toes in the water? What do I need to do to make myself export ready?
Right.
And then we'll talk about how those transactions are.
Right. So I would say the first step is a top management commitment, because international trade is not going to be quarter by quarter results.
Right.
It's going to take maybe a year at the beginning. And so you need that management commitment that, hey, we're here for a long time, and we're going to develop. Then we have to do analysis, right? So we do analysis of the product. Is the product ready for international regulations, norms, standards? So we have to look at the product. Also, the product needs to be evaluated by the United States Department of Commerce in terms of export licenses.
Okay.
Some products require an export license, some don't. So we need to go over that stage. That's product analysis.
Okay.
Then we have company analysis, which is personnel. Okay, who is going to be focusing on exports? Usually it's a salesperson, which is fine, but we need some time commitment from that person into this new market development. So we need that and all the paperwork that comes with it, right? Mm-hmm. Logistics, paperwork. Of course, we have the freight forwarding industry, which is the right arm, I would say, for exporting companies. That those who are new to export maybe rely on the freight forwarders to take care of that documentation, so you are safe doing business. The other one is a market analysis. So let's look, okay, which markets are currently buying for what you are offering? So we can do the analysis, and to do that, we use a new number classification, okay? Because U.S. companies, I think they are familiar with the NAICS code, right. NAICS. But for international, we use a different code, which is a harmonized tariff schedule, HTS, for imports, and we call it a Schedule B number for exports. So we need to figure out your product, what type of HTS or Schedule B number has. Based on that number, we can figure out which countries in the world are the demand for this product. Then we start aligning the strategy, right? So, okay. I mean, but we can also help these companies in doing this step-by-step analysis of the companies. Now, the exciting part, I think, is that traveling. You will be traveling to either U.S. domestic shows who are international, or you will be traveling to international shows. You can just walk the show. You don't have to exhibit first.
Right.
You walk the show, meet people. You get a glance of the culture, people, food, and you will see that you will find Americans all over the planet. Okay, we are all over. Okay, so it's easy.
So once they're kind of vetted that their product has a demand internationally, so the primary ways to actually get in touch with overseas buyers, you think, are either like shows, trade missions. So I'm assuming the internet is a great tool.
Right. So we have a variety of programs for that part,
okay.
How to find, so there is a program called a Gold Key,
okay.
Which is offered by the federal government, the U.S. embassies. So that program will be companies pay, and they will do it. They will find for you up to 4 qualified sales reps for your company. Because the model to enter international markets sometimes is not B2B directly to the customer end user. It's more B2 sales rep.
Or distributor. Right.
And then that person or entity will be your eyes and ears in the market, right? So the key is to find that type of structure in those markets.
Who can reach multiple companies overseas.
So with dealing with one only entity, that person will deal with many, many different customers, right?
Right.
So, but how do you find those guys? It's difficult. So that's why we have these programs. Gold Key is one where you travel overseas, and they will take you to visit up to the 4 companies in their location. You see, because that's another thing. I have a guy trying to do business with Mexico, and the guy said, "Hey, look, for you to be my rep, you have to have a warehouse." Oh, the guy said, "I have a warehouse." Oh, really? Okay, then let's talk about business then. Where the guy here traveled to Mexico, and when he took him to the warehouse, it was a car garage. Okay. So definitions. Okay. Yeah. So what do you mean? It's better to go visit, see the place, the operation, and you are pretty much make sure that they meet your requirements.
Right.
But we have also the other program, which is International Partner Search, which is just they will find the reps, but you don't need to travel. You right. And your own company here, via video, internet, you will interview these guys and see which one feels better. But overall, I would advise
you have to vet these customers.
Right. Yeah. You have to vet. Yeah. Not just jump on. Because we have cases, for example, in South Africa, a company was selling software to South Africa, and great, they order. They said, the US company said, you pay me first, then I ship. Okay. Second order, the same. You pay me first, I ship. Okay. Third order, the South Africans say, hey, why don't we do you know us, let's do the opposite.
No.
You ship me first, then I will pay you. Oh, okay, let's do it. Never got paid, so the stuff happens, okay? So we need to vet also once we get in touch with a foreign buyer, we need to vet that foreign buyer. So there are many different programs for that. Exim Bank has reps overseas. They can see if those have good credit history. The U.S. embassies has the same service, good credit history. Or Dun & Bradstreet International has the same service. So I think that due diligence is good for them to not be in different, situations that they would not like to
Right.
be.
So you started talking a little bit about previously about payment terms. So how can a company protect itself? What are some of the common tools a company can protect itself in terms of getting paid?
Yes, that's, international business and international companies like to do net, like terms, 30, 60, 90, 180 payment terms. Where US companies don't want to do that at the beginning, because we don't know the people. But once you establish a relationship, we have programs in the US, tools we call it, that US companies can benefit from these tools. One is it's called the export credit insurance from Exim Bank, and that will be a policy, an insurance policy against non-payment by your foreign buyer. So it's not expensive at all. It's easy to get. You can get it by only one transaction, and that's all you get insurance for, or you can get insurance for multiple transactions. So the percentage and every country has this tool, export credit insurance. So the Europeans have their own export credit insurance, and they, in average, they use it, I think 60% of European companies use export credit insurance to protect themselves against non-payment. Asian companies are up to 80% using export credit insurance. US companies, only 10%. So there's not a knowledge of US companies about this tool, which would benefit them. So we need to do a better job, I think, to go out and market the program so companies can be more competitive overseas.
Mm-hmm. And then letters of credit are pretty common in international.
And letters of credit is a big tool, where you have the bank, right, to be the in between the buyer and seller. That's another big tool, lots of documentation, and your bank should know something about that. If not, they will have an agent bank that will help them out to do that. So letter of credit, export credit insurance. Of course, getting to know the customer relationship sometimes is a big deterrent of them not paying you, because they develop a relationship with you, they get to know you. Every time you go to visit, they treat you, and they get to their family to know you, you know the family. If they come here for training, you will do the same. You bring them to your house, family. Now, those ties, sometimes internationally speaking, are more powerful than paper tools. Okay,
right.
So that's something that companies might like to learn. That side of international is relationships. So strong.
Right, and obviously, exporting is important to the U.S. economy. So, one of the things on my side of the table that we get involved with is financing export transactions. So one of the nice things that the government has done, particularly through Exim and or the SBA, which our bank uses the SBA programs extensively, they'll give the banks essentially credit insurance for the bank through loan guarantees that have up to 90%
Right.
loss coverage. So, it's a little more complicated. It might have a little more risk than a domestic transaction, but banks like us have tools available to mitigate the risk to the bank, to fill orders that are going to be shipped overseas, or to fund receivables for overseas buyers that haven't been paid yet. And I know you've had some experience working with those
Right, and
programs
that
too.
percentage guarantee, I think, if you will do a domestic
It's
transaction,
75%.
is less.
Yeah, it's
right?
less, right?
It's less. Like if a company does an international transaction, the bank is getting more guarantee,
Right.
right?
And they've made those fees really reasonable to try to stimulate more exporting. So
That's-
the message for the small business borrowers out there is there are good financing tools that provide enough risk mitigation to the bank to help you fill orders that are going overseas.
Right. And right now there's a new initiative also from Exim Bank focusing on business expansions or any equipment, acquiring new equipment for automation or AI or machinery manufacturing. It's called Make More in America program. And the Make More in America is no longer a loan guarantee, is no longer an export credit insurance, but is a direct lending from Exim to the company, to the U.S. company. And we have a success story here in this Western Pennsylvania region, a company called Aquatech International. They were one of the first recipients of the Make More in America, over $4 million Exim directly given to the company for that type of innovation equipment. So that opens the door, right, for many
Right.
U.S. companies in that space that there's one more program to help them out on the financing side.
Right. Right. So, a local company finds the market opportunity, qualifies their product, has their tools in place to help ensure their repayment. What are some success stories of how you've seen this work locally?
Right. So we had a small company. They manufacture pumps. The pumps could be 2-3 feet tall or could be 2-story house tall. And the company it was considered new to export. So they wanted to do business internationally, but where to start. So there's a lot of market research, free market research. For example, the country commercial guides, we call it. So you can just do country commercial guide, France, and you get the document about, it's like a commercial point of view for that country on all different aspects. Or you can go to trade.gov/France, and you get all about France. So it's amazing.
Yeah.
But this company started to target international shows first. So attending shows. Also, his approach was something different. He wanted to do the relationship first before talking business. And that, for him, worked out pretty beautifully because he get to know the person, visits, handshakes, no agreement, no paper. And the foreign company start to purchase a lot of these pumps. And now, to the point, he got a sales rep, a young kid, traveling overseas, very open mind. Like, I think he went to school for arts or music, or very open mind type person. He got more and more. And then he got to be one of the SBA Export of the Year awards nationwide, the company. Today, the company he sold that side of the company, and now he's starting in energy side of the company. But that was it took for him, right? It to travel overseas to see what's going on. I have another energy company. They were doing business with the oil company in Morocco. Okay, so the payment issue was not easy. Okay, so sometimes they have to press for payment. Hey, they release the money. But they were doing business with Tunisia in Africa. Still not getting paid. So they have to now develop relationships. Now, I have cases where companies said, I cannot get paid by this country company, whatever. One strategy that worked is they hire a person from that country who lives in Pittsburgh. So we do have international populations in Pittsburgh. So let's say a person who, let's say, and this case was Panama, I remember. The Panamanian company was not paying, so they hired a lady from Panama here in Pittsburgh, and the lady started talking to the Panamanian company, and then payment came. Like that. Okay.
Cultural thing.
Yeah, it's a cultural thing. It's the connecting point. So there's many stuff like that. The water treatment company I was talking about, we went to Mexico in a trade show. It was a trade show. No, it was a trade mission with a gold key. So when we arrived, the U.S. Embassy had appointments set up. So this guy went to the appointment, and after the day was over, right away, he appointed one rep to be the rep in Mexico. Fast, the guy, and then has to train the person, relationship. So different ways to do business. We have also in the past, way back now, this is a consumer product. This is a chocolate fudge. Okay, chocolate fudge. Okay, so this lady, 7 kids, stay-home mom, makes chocolate fudge, and then she sells into the local farmers market. One day, a Japanese delegation go to the farmers market. They meet a lady with a fudge, and they like the fudge. The Japanese said, we would like to buy your fudge, but we would like you to ship to Japan. To Japan, yeah, because here's our car, you can ship it. So they got in touch. So the lady got the boxes, and then got the translators to put the labels, and then ship it. The Japanese the lady said to them, but this has nothing special about it. It's just chocolate fudge made at home. So what do you need this for? Oh, but this is made in USA. That's the difference. It's made in USA. So when she shipped the boxes, the Japanese called her back and said, hey, the boxes came in Japanese. We don't want that. We want in English, because this is made in USA. Okay, so many different things that you would not think about. It's like we are really sought after, okay, of our stuff, but sometimes we don't know that. So it could be consumer items.
Right.
For example, I go every year to the Fancy Food Show in New York City, and we have a grant right now to offset the payment for the booth. So those food makers come with us, they get a free booth. And so this lady is a small business. They make a sauce. We went to the show, and people from Switzerland at the show met with her, and now they're talking about that she needs to ship X quantities to Switzerland. So in these shows is where you find all these reps. Now, we advise her, of course, to qualify and vet the company in Switzerland and get to know them better. Because you want is a long-term relationship, right? Yeah. So there are many examples like consumer base or business to business base.
So obviously there's lots of resources. You mentioned a bunch of different, government agencies, support organizations are involved. How does a small business owner, who do they contact first?
Right. Yeah. Well, we are the Small Business Development Center, so we have every 15 days webinars on first step, how to start a business, second step, how to write a business plan. We get our average of 60 people every 15 days. It's a lot of people. So we're the first encounter for that any type of business information.
Right.
Clearinghouse. We will maybe go over the basics, and then we can ship or connect with different
And then you pull the right
partners.
team together for a particular business.
So for international, I am the guy at the SBDC. I will go over a quick assessment with a company, see what are they doing, and then I pull all the different partners that we have, the federal government, which is the U.S. Commercial Service, the state, which is the Office of International Business Development, SBA, EXIM. We want to help this company to be successful. Okay, so we pull that. Now, statewide, we have the SBDCs, the 16 SBDCs in 16 universities.
Yeah.
So I am the lead for international trade. So we have around 8 or 9 SBDCs out of the 16 who are interested in international business. So when they have clients and they introduce me to those clients, I do the same, pool resources to help these companies. And then out of the companies' needs, they will go either with a FEDS program or the SBA or the state. But it's an amazing network that we have.
Right. So you're kind of the point man.
Yes. The first one that we'll encounter, do assessment, readiness, and then we start pulling the different partners.
So how do interested small businesses get in touch with you?
Yeah, well, you can email me. My email, brondon@innovation.pit.edu. You can also call my office or visit our website, www.entrepreneur.pit.edu, or just Google Brent Rondon International Trade. My name will come up. I've been here so many years now, it will come up. Happy to assist any companies. We have amazing programs. The state of Pennsylvania has all these reps coming to Pittsburgh every year, and they meet one-to-one with our clients, companies, and that's a free resource.
Right.
So take advantage.
Right. So I think the message for our viewers and listeners really is there's a big marketplace out there.
95%.
There's a big marketplace out there. Lots of, assistance, which luckily in the initial stages is free assistance. Explore the opportunities, diversify your customer base a little bit, and grow your business, outside of the U.S.
Right. And, next year we are hosting the U.S. Open in Pittsburgh. We're hosting the NFL draft. And then the next year after that is a World Cup. Many visitors from all over the world will come to Pennsylvania and other states.
So you guys are going to capitalize on that.
That's another opportunity for us to connect, do business. So we just have to be open to the possibilities.
Right. So the time is right, folks. Take advantage of these resources. Brent, as always, thank you for the passion and expertise you have for this, and hopefully some of our viewers and listeners will explore it a little further.
Yes. Thank you.
For those of you that have any ideas for future episodes or any questions, you can email us at insidethevault@enterprisebankpgh.com. You can check us out in audio format on all the major podcast platforms and in video format on YouTube. Once again, Brent, thanks for the info.
Thank you, Dave. Appreciate it.